When you're making a slab mug out of clay, you want to grab a lot of clay. It's going to seem like a wasteful amount of clay. It's thoughtful to wrap the clay back up so that it stays fresh for the next user. You'll want to flatten your clay on this piece of plaster. It's a non-stick surface. As you begin flattening, you want to visualize a long oval, a really exaggerated, stretched out oval. I flip this so many times, I don't know, I didn't count, but maybe 8 or so times. And I'm using the flat palm of my hand here so that I don't have any dents in the clay. If I notice any wrinkles, I smooth those out as I'm working. I just, flatten it a few times and then flip it, and I do this repeatedly, as you'll see in this video. I want to be careful that I don't put it in the slab roller if it's too thick, because that will cause too much stress on the slab roller. I don't mind if you guys change the settings on the slab roller, but just make sure you know how to do it if you're going to do it yourself. Otherwise, I'm happy to do it for you. And you have to change it on this side as well as, so it's 2 spots so that the roller will be level. We want to pick a 3/8 of an inch for this project so that we have enough depth to carve the face down into it. So this is the slab roller, and you want to make sure the clay never touches the metal roller. It has 2 pieces of canvas that separate. You want to pull back the top piece of canvas all the way. You're going to grab your pre-flattened piece of clay and pull it up as close to the roller as possible. We want to visualize the clay elongating this way, lengthwise, not widthwise. We really want it to stretch that oval. You're going to place the top canvas back over it and make sure there's no wrinkles. Smooth it out completely. There's a little bit of slack at the other end, and you're going to pull that towards the wall as you turn the crank. It's really squeaky. I took the volume out. Open it up, and on the other side you have your nice flat piece of clay. The first thing you're going to do when you get back to your table is to remove any evidence of the canvas texture on the clay. The best way to do that is to use a red rib tool because it's the most flexible. You could use a sponge, but that's going to add hydration back into the piece, and this is going to be such a fragile piece that I don't think we want it that wet. I like to blend the clay from left to right and blend all those fibers together, and then top to bottom, making a really nice, strong piece of clay. The next thing I want to do is take the longest ruler I can find and slice off the top of the clay to create a nice clean edge. And then taking the top of my ruler and lining it up with that clean edge, I slice off the left side of the clay. Now we have pretty close to a right angle. If you want to create a mug that's between 3 and 5 inches tall, taking into consideration that the clay shrinks a little bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and measure 4 inches. It'll be a little shorter than that, which I'm fine with. It still fits the project guidelines between 3 and 5 inches. So I'm going to mark 4 inches with my ruler from the top straight edge of my slab. And I do that twice, like the old saying, measure twice, cut once. I'm going to go back to my long ruler here and lining it up with my nice clean straight edge, lining up my dots. I want you to cut on the bad side of the clay. So this is going to be my mug up here, and it's nice and clean and perfect. This is my extra clay.
I always say that because what I see happen a lot of times is students who are not used to cutting such long strips of clay might slip. And so let's just say you were cutting and you said, oh shoot, it's not a big deal because we're still on that bad side of the clay, and we can just recut. See, I'm walking my fingers up the ruler. I'm standing so I can add that pressure on there. We don't want to slip, because then you just ruin your nice slab. I don't care about this edge over here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently take this and I'm going to roll this into a cylinder. And I can just, for now, I'm just going to cut off a little bit, like extra there. So I'm rolling this into a cylinder. What I'm not going to do is blend this all together because it would be too thick on this side and not thick on this side. So I'm going to roll it. This is my last chance to get the diameter the way I want it. So I'm sort of liking that. I take this and I'm actually going to slice through those 2 layers right there, just like this. And I'm going to take off the extra, just like that. And then I'm going to either carefully stitch this back together or slip and score, which is certainly the most stable way to have that stay together. We're blending the inside and the outside seam. You might not be able to get your fingers in here, so you can take a wooden modeling tool and blend that way. You can flip it over, and then you have easier access to the other side. So you want to get that pretty well buttoned up. We will get the canvas texture off the outside later, but I'm just working on the nice clean diameter there. You'll notice I kept this extra clay. That's going to be my floor. I don't even have to re-roll a slab. I'm just using my scraps. I place this right on here and I trace it right to the mug. Nice and straight, not at an angle. I like to slice through my clay like this, so I can just pull it off like that. Now, while they're still together, gently blend. You don't want to separate those 2 pieces of clay because they're a perfect match for each other right now. Just blend them out. And there you have it. You have a cylindrical mug with a floor. And now you can spend the next 20 minutes or so polishing that bad boy up. Right now, you'll also notice that the lip is not very user-friendly. And I'm not exaggerating when I say, go over that lip 50 times and round it out. All right, and we'll stop there.
Once it's leather hard, and only when it's leather hard, you can try rolling it on the table to round out the cylinder. Handles are totally optional. The way I made this handle was I just rolled another slab, and I am slicing a thinner slab out of that. I made mine tapered, so it's a little bit wider at the top and then a little more narrow at the bottom. I decided to press in a dowel to create some cool texture. And I'm rounding it out, seeing if I like the size of this. It's a little too long. I'm going to put a little prop here, step back from it. It's definitely too tall. So I'm going to shrink that down a little bit, take it off, slice, try it again, temporarily put it on there, step back from it. Still too long. Take it off, slice it, put it back, put my prop there if need be. Definitely stepping way back, making sure at eye level it's nice and straight. I'm making some marks around the handle so I know where to slip and score. The tricky thing to remember about the handle is you want to make sure you burnish the canvas texture off of the inside of the handle before you attach it. Otherwise, it's really tricky to get in there. Remember, when making your score marks, you're going to score pretty deep with a pen tool in 2 different directions, crisscross. You're also going to do it on your handle, which I've already done. Add some slip. I like to add a little bit of counter pressure on the inside of the mug so I can press without it caving in. It's okay if some of the slip oozes out. We'll clean that off later.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to sculpt this whole thing in front of you guys, but I'm right-handed, so I'm thinking if I hold my mug like this, I want my face to face you, right? So when we talk a little bit about anatomy and proportion, I'll sketch out the face really quickly, but the whole thing with this is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anatomically correct. We don't have hair, and we don't really have enough room for like a neck or a chin. So I might divide my space vertically and horizontally. And that way there, I know I'm going to place an eye somewhere up here, maybe here, halfway, and I'll just do bottom of my nostril, a little bit of my mouth, something like that. With my eyes, this is why we did a 3/8 of an inch thickness, because I want to be able to press in some sockets on the mug. So this gives me that flexibility to press in some sockets. Ooh, sculpt some eyeballs. I usually make a ball of clay and then slice it in half so that pop it right in the socket. Now, it's going to look a little weird at first. You have to be patient. So I just scrapped everything I just did because I'm starting to think my favorite feature on here is going to be the exaggerated nose. So I think I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to start with my dream nose and work from there. I think I'll sculpt around that. So I'm sculpting separate because this is definitely going to be over 1 inch thick and fat. And what I just did off camera was I sliced off the back to thin it out. Yeah, I'm gonna sculpt. I actually want like a. I like the way that this nose is looking really long. Kind of funny looking nose. So I think that's a better approach, is to start with your favorite feature and go from there. Sculpt off the mug. Make it however you like, and then we'll assess the thickness together and decide where we need to hollow it out, if at all. Yeah, I'm getting excited about that nose. It's nice to work off the mug too, because you have the freedom to work behind it and push out features as well.